Okay, so I would say the best case example is in the Syrian civil war. We know that the Syrian civil war is what caused a major refugee crisis into Europe in 2015 because of people fleeing the disaster there, one of the worst humanitarian disasters in the world. And it was the policy of the United States under the Trump administration in 2017. They stopped pursuing regime change. Now, remember, it was April 2017 because that shortly precipitated, that was, I think, 3 or 4 days before the first missile strikes against the airfield, I think it was in Homs, Syria, in April 2017, when Xi Jinping was visiting Mar-a-Lago. And so the American government, the Trump administration, said we're not pursuing regime change against Assad. Why? Because the fall of Assad and the Syrian civil war led to the rise of ISIS. We know that there was no moderate Muslim opposition. There was Assad, and then you had ISIS, and then you had other proxy groups from Saudi Arabia and other countries. And so it was the position of America that in order to stabilize Syria, we tacitly were allowing Bashar al-Assad to reclaim control of the country, which would have been the smart America First policy, because Assad was cooperating with the United States government. Assad tortured terrorists for America. You know, Assad really was not a bad actor. And we didn't have a bad relationship with Syria, but it was the Israeli policy that Assad had to go and that Syria had to be dismembered so that Israel could secure their northern border with Lebanon. And so while Trump wanted to shore up the Assad regime, and that was the official policy articulated by the UN ambassador and by the State Department not to depose Assad, Israel continued throughout the Trump administration to launch airstrikes against regime forces, against Assad's forces. This helped ISIS. Donald Trump came in saying that he wanted to eradicate ISIS. Assad and the Russian army were the ones fighting ISIS. And so there's a perfect example where there's a conflict between the American and Israeli interest in Syria, in the Middle East. America wanted stability and the defeat of ISIS. Israel, I think they benefited from ISIS. And actually, some of their top military officials said this. Their top intelligence chief and their defense minister both said that they would prefer ISIS to Iran. And there was one instance when ISIS attacked Israel, I think in 2013, and ISIS actually apologized to the state of Israel for attacking them mistakenly. And so, I mean, that was one of the clearest indications to me where there's a conflict between American and Israeli policy.
Okay, Nick, let's give